Hey, Force Fiction fans! Welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into the galaxy far, far away with epic Star Wars stories. Today we're exploring a thrilling what-if tale. What if Qui-Gon Jinn survived his fateful duel on Naboo? Join us as we follow Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Anakin through a galaxy on the brink of war, facing Sith schemes, clone armies, and the pull of the dark side. Will the Jedi uncover the truth behind the shadows? Hit that like button, subscribe, and let's jump into this adventure. May the Force be with you. The red haze of Naboo's evening sky hung low, casting an eerie glow over the Theed Palace's grand hangar. Blaster fire echoed, and the hum of lightsabers filled the air as Qui-Gon Jinn and his apprentice, Obi-Wan Kenobi, battled the Sith Lord Darth Maul. The Zabrak's double-bladed lightsaber spun with lethal precision, a whirlwind of crimson death. But fate, it seemed, had other plans for this night. Qui-Gon, his long brown hair streaked with sweat, parried a vicious strike aimed at Obi-Wan. The Force flowed through him, guiding his movements with a calm clarity. Maul's eyes burned with hatred, his tattooed face twisted in a snarl. The Sith lunged, aiming a low sweep at Qui-Gon's legs, but the Jedi Master leaped back, his green blade intercepting the attack. Obi-Wan flanked from the right, his blue lightsaber arcing toward Maul's shoulder. The Sith blocked, but the coordinated assault forced him to retreat. "Stay focused, Obi-Wan," Qui-Gon said, his voice steady despite the strain. "He thrives on chaos." Maul hissed, spinning his weapon to create a barrier of light. The Jedi pressed their advantage, their blades ablur. In a critical moment, Qui-Gon sensed a shift in the Force, a fleeting opening. As Maul overextended a thrust, Qui-Gon sidestepped, redirecting the Sith's momentum with a subtle Force push. Maul stumbled, and Obi-Wan seized the chance, slashing downward. The strike caught Maul's lightsaber hilts, severing one blade. Sparks flew, and the Sith roared in fury. "Now!" Qui-Gon shouted. Together they drove Maul back toward the edge of a plasma refinery shaft. The Sith's movements grew desperate, his defense faltering. With a final synchronized strike, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan disarmed him, their blades crossing at his chest. Maul's eyes widened, but before he could react, Qui-Gon delivered a precise Force push, sending the Sith tumbling into the abyss. A faint scream echoed, then silence. Breathing heavily, Qui-Gon deactivated his lightsaber. Obi-Wan, still gripping his, stared at the shaft. "Is he—" "Gone," Qui-Gon said, placing a hand on his apprentice's shoulder. "But the Sith are never truly vanquished. We must remain vigilant." The Battle of Naboo was won, the Trade Federation's droid army deactivated, and Queen Amidala's forces secured the palace. Yet as Qui-Gon stood among the victors, a ripple in the Force stirred unease within him. The dark side lingered, its shadows stretching beyond Maul's defeat. Something greater was at play. 3 years later, the Jedi Temple on Coruscant stood as a beacon of light amid the galaxy's turmoil. Its spires pierced the smoggy skyline, a symbol of hope in a republic fraying at the edges. Qui-Gon Jinn, now a respected member of the Jedi Council, walked its halls with purpose. His survival on Naboo had altered the course of events, his wisdom guiding the Order through turbulent times. Obi-Wan, recently knighted, had taken young Anakin Skywalker as his apprentice, fulfilling Qui-Gon's belief in the boy's destiny as the chosen one. In the council chamber, Qui-Gon sat beside Masters Yoda and Mace Windu, their faces etched with concern. Reports of unrest in the Outer Rim had grown dire. Separatist sentiments, fueled by disillusionment with the Republic's bureaucracy, were spreading. Rumors whispered of a shadowy figure orchestrating the discord, a Sith Lord who had eluded the Jedi since Maul's fall. "We cannot ignore these signs," Qui-Gon said, his deep voice carrying weight. "The dark side clouds our vision, but its influence is undeniable. The Separatists are a symptom, not the cause." Yoda's ears twitched, his eyes narrowing. A puppet master, you sense?" "Hidden. This enemy remains." Mace leaned forward, his expression grim. "Our intelligence suggests a former Jedi, Count Dooku, is rallying systems to the Separatist cause. If he's aligned with the Sith, he's a grave threat?" Qui-Gon's brow furrowed. Dooku, his former master, had left the Order years ago, disillusioned by its ties to a corrupt republic. The thought of Dooku falling to the dark side was a wound Qui-Gon could not ignore. "If Dooku is involved, we must confront him," he said. "But we must also seek the source of this darkness. The Sith Lord behind Maul is still out there." The Council assigned Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan to investigate Dooku's activities, with Anakin accompanying them to gain experience. The mission would take them to the industrial world of Geonosis, where Separatist leaders were reportedly gathering. As Qui-Gon prepared, he felt a pull in the Force, a warning that this journey would test them all. The red dunes of Geonosis stretched endlessly, broken only by jagged spires and sprawling droid foundries. Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Anakin infiltrated the planet under cover of night, their cloaks blending with the shadows. Anakin, now 15, brimmed with raw talent but struggled with impatience, a trait Obi-Wan worked tirelessly to temper. "Stay close, Anakin," Obi-Wan whispered as they neared a towering arena. "We're here to gather intelligence, not start a war." Anakin smirked, his blue eyes glinting. "Relax, Master. I've got this." Qui-Gon suppressed a smile. The boy's confidence reminded him of Obi-Wan at that age, though Anakin's connection to the Force was unlike anything he'd ever seen. It was both a gift and a danger. Inside the arena, they overheard a meeting of Separatist leaders, Trade Federation of Viceroys, Techno-Union foremen, and others, chaired by Count Dooku himself. The charismatic nobleman stood at a podium, his silver hair catching the dim light. "The Republic is a rotting corpse," Dooku declared, his voice resonant. "Join us and we will build a new order free of its corruption." Qui-Gon's heart sank. Dooku's words carried conviction, but the dark side tainted his aura. As the Jedi prepared to retreat, Anakin accidentally triggered a security sensor. Alarms blared, and Geonosian guards swarmed the arena. The trio ignited their lightsabers, cutting through the insectoid warriors with practiced ease. "Dooku knows we're here," Qui-Gon said, deflecting a blaster bolt. "We must reach him before he escapes." They fought their way to a landing platform where Dooku awaited, flanked by battle droids. His red lightsaber hummed to life, a stark betrayal of his Jedi past. "Qui-Gon," Dooku said, his tone almost wistful. "I had hoped you of all people would understand my cause." "Your cause is poisoned by the Sith," Qui-Gon replied, stepping forward. "Surrender, Dooku. There's still a path back to the light." Dooku's lips curled into a sad smile. "The light has failed us. The Sith offer clarity where the Jedi offer chains." The duel began with a clash of blades, green against red. Obi-Wan and Anakin engaged the droids, leaving Qui-Gon to face his former master. Dooku's Makashi form was elegant, precise, but Qui-Gon's Ataru countered with relentless aggression. Their blades sparked, each strike a test of will. "You sense it, don't you?" Dooku said mid-combat. "The Republic's end is near. Join me, Qui-Gon. Together we can reshape the galaxy." Qui-Gon parried a thrust, his resolve unshaken. "You've lost your way, Dooku. I will not follow you into darkness." As the battle raged, Anakin dispatched the last droid and rushed to aid Qui-Gon, but Dooku unleashed a torrent of Force lightning, catching Anakin off guard. The boy cried out, collapsing. Obi-Wan moved to protect him, but Dooku seized the distraction, force-pushing Qui-Gon against a wall. Before the Jedi could recover, Dooku boarded a speeder and fled into the desert. Qui-Gon rose, wincing, and helped Obi-Wan tend to Anakin. The boy was shaken but unharmed. "I could have taken him," Anakin muttered, frustration evident. "In time, Anakin," Qui-Gon said gently, "but this fight is far from over." Back at the Jedi Temple, Qui-Gon reported to the Council. Dooku's allegiance to the Sith was confirmed, and his separatist army posed a growing threat. More troubling was the revelation of a massive droid army being constructed on Geonosis, funded by unknown sources. The Council debated requesting a Republic army, but Qui-Gon urged caution, wary of escalating tensions. Privately, Qui-Gon met with Obi-Wan and Anakin in the Temple Gardens. Anakin's anger at Dooku's escape lingered, his emotions raw. "Why didn't you let me go after him?" he asked Qui-Gon. "I could have stopped him." Qui-Gon knelt to meet Anakin's gaze. "Your strength is extraordinary, Anakin, but so is your burden. The Force chose you for a reason, but you must learn to temper your anger. It's a path to the dark side." Anakin looked away, conflicted. Obi-Wan placed a hand on his shoulder. "We'll face Dooku again, Anakin, together." As night fell over Coruscant, Qui-Gon meditated in his quarters, seeking clarity. The Force revealed glimpses of a looming war, of a hooded figure manipulating events from the shadows. Darth Sidious, the true Sith Lord, remained elusive. Qui-Gon's survival had disrupted the Sith's plans, but the dark side adapted, its tendrils tightening around the galaxy. In a distant corner of the city, Senator Palpatine watched the skyline, his kindly facade masking a sinister truth. "The Jedi grow bolder," he mused to an aide. "But no matter. The board is set, and the pieces move as I will. Qui-Gon's survival had changed the galaxy's trajectory, but the Sith's machinations were far from undone. Dooku's separatist movement gained momentum, and Anakin's potential grew alongside his inner turmoil. The Jedi, guided by Qui-Gon's wisdom, stood as a bulwark against the rising tide of darkness, but the cost of their vigilance would be high. As Qui-Gon gazed at the stars from the temple's summit, he felt the weight of destiny. The Force whispered of trials to come, of sacrifices and revelations. The Chosen One's path was fraught with peril, and Qui-Gon vowed to guide him no matter the cost. The galaxy teetered on the edge of chaos. 3 years had passed since Qui-Gon Jinn's survival on Naboo, and the ripple effects of that fateful night continued to reshape the Republic. On Coruscant, the Jedi Temple stood as a bastion of hope, but its halls echoed with unease. The Separatist movement, led by the fallen Jedi Count Dooku, had grown into a formidable threat, rallying systems disillusioned with their Republic's corruption. Behind it all, the Sith Lord Darth Sidious wove his web, his identity still a shadow even to the Jedi. Qui-Gon Jinn, now a senior member of the Jedi Council, felt the weight of the Force's warnings. His duel with Dooku on Geonosis 6 months prior had confirmed his former master's descent to the dark side, but it also revealed a deeper truth. Dooku was a pawn in a larger game. The Sith's true master remained hidden, orchestrating a conflict that threatened to engulf the galaxy. Meanwhile, Anakin Skywalker, now 16, and Obi-Wan Kenobi's apprentice, grappled with his immense potential and the turbulent emotions that came with it. The council chamber was dimly lit, the cityscape of Coruscant glittering beyond its windows. Qui-Gon sat among the masters, his weathered face reflecting both resolve and concern. Reports had surfaced of a separatist summit on Raxus, a lush world that had become the political heart of Dooku's movement. Intelligence suggested Dooku was negotiating with key systems to bolster his alliance, and there were whispers of a new weapon in development, one that could tip the balance. "Raxus is a powder keg," Mace Windu said, his voice clipped. "If Dooku secures more allies, the Separatists could fracture the Republic irreparably." Yoda's eyes narrowed, his gnarled hands resting on his cane. "A Sith's hand, I sense. More than Dooku we face. Uncover the truth, we must." Qui-Gon leaned forward. "I agree. Dooku is a symptom of a greater darkness. We need to infiltrate the summit, learn their plans, and if possible confront Dooku again. But we must tread carefully. War looms, and our actions could ignite it." The Council assigned Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Anakin to the mission, with Padme Amidala accompanying them as a diplomatic envoy. Her presence, they hoped, would lend legitimacy to their cover as Republic negotiators seeking peace. Anakin's excitement at Padme's involvement was palpable, a fact that did not escape Qui-Gon's notice. As they prepared to depart, Qui-Gon found Anakin in the temple's training halls, practicing lightsaber forms with fierce intensity. His blue blade carved arcs through the air, his movements fluid but tinged with aggression. Qui-Gon watched silently, sensing the boy's inner turmoil. "Anakin!" Qui-Gon called, stepping forward. "Your skills are remarkable, but your emotions drive your blade. The Force requires balance." Anakin deactivated his lightsaber, his expression defiant. "I'm in control, Master Jinn. I want to protect the people I care about. Like Padme." Qui-Gon's gaze softened. "Your feelings for her are natural, but they can cloud your judgment. A Jedi's strength lies in clarity, not attachment." Anakin nodded, though his jaw tightened. Qui-Gon knew the boy's heart was a battleground, and the Sith would exploit any weakness. The Jedi's ship, a sleek Republic cruiser, touched down on Raxus under the guise of a diplomatic mission. The planet's capital was a blend of opulent architecture and industrial sprawl, its skies buzzing with transports. Padme, dressed in a flowing senator's gown, led the group through the bustling streets, her composure unwavering. Obi-Wan and Anakin flanked her, their Jedi robes replaced with civilian tunics to avoid attention. Qui-Gon, cloaked in a hooded mantle, scanned the crowd, his senses attuned to the Force. The summit was held in a grand amphitheater, its tiers filled with representatives from dozens of systems. Dooku stood at the center, his presence commanding. His silver beard and tailored cape gave him the air of a statesman, but his red lightsaber, clipped to his belt, betrayed his true allegiance. "The Republic is a chain around your necks," Dooku declared to the assembly. "Its Senate is a den of greed, its Jedi enforcers of a failing order. Join us, and we will forge a galaxy of equality and strength." Padme whispered to Qui-Gon, "He's persuasive. If he sways these systems, the Republic could lose half its territory." Qui-Gon nodded. "His words are laced with truth, but his intent is division. We need to find evidence of his Sith ties." While Padme engaged in diplomatic talks to stall the proceedings, the Jedi split up. Obi-Wan and Anakin infiltrated the amphitheater's lower levels, searching for separatist plans, while Qui-Gon tailed Dooku's entourage, hoping to uncover his next move. The Force guided him to a private chamber where Dooku met with a hologram of a hooded figure, Darth Sidious. "You promised results, Dooku," the Sith Lord's voice rasped, distorted by the transmission. "The weapon must be ready before the Republic mobilizes." "It will be, my lord," Dooku replied, his tone deferential. "The foundries on Geonosis are nearly complete. Soon, we will have an army to rival any." Sidious's hologram flickered. "Do not fail me, Tyrannus. The Jedi grow bolder, and Qui-Gon Jinn's survival has disrupted our plans. He must be eliminated." Qui-Gon's blood ran cold. The mention of his name confirmed the Sith's awareness of his role. He memorized every word, knowing the Council needed this intelligence. But before he could retreat, a Geonosian guard spotted him. The insectoid creature screeched, alerting others. Qui-Gon ignited his green lightsaber, cutting through the guards with swift precision, but the alarm had been raised. In the lower levels, Obi-Wan and Anakin discovered schematics for a massive droid army, including prototype designs for a weapon labeled Death Star. The scale of the plans was staggering, a moon-sized battle station capable of destroying planets. Before they could download the data, battle droids swarmed their position, forcing them into a running fight. Anakin's lightsaber flashed, dismantling droids with reckless abandon. "This is more fun than sneaking around," he shouted, grinning. Obi-Wan deflected a blaster bolt, his expression exasperated. "Focus, Anakin. We need those schematics." Above, Qui-Gon fought his way to the amphitheater, where Padme was addressing the delegates. Dooku, alerted to the Jedi's presence, interrupted her. "It seems the Republic sends spies rather than diplomats," he said, his voice dripping with disdain. He ignited his red lightsaber, and the crowd gasped. Padme stood her ground. "The Republic seeks peace, Count Dooku. It's you who builds an army for war." Dooku's eyes narrowed, but before he could respond, Qui-Gon burst into the chamber, his blade humming. "Enough, Dooku," he said. "Your alliance with the Sith ends here." The delegates scattered as the duel began. Dooku's Makashi was a dance of precision, each strike calculated, but Qui-Gon's Ataru overwhelmed with relentless momentum. Their blades clashed, sparks illuminating the amphitheater. Qui-Gon sensed Dooku's conflict, a flicker of doubt beneath his dark resolve. "You were my master," Qui-Gon said between strikes. "You taught me to seek truth. Why serve a lie?" Dooku's expression hardened. "The truth is the Republic's failure. The Sith offer power to rebuild." Their duel spilled onto a balcony overlooking the city. Below, Obi-Wan and Anakin fought through droids to reach Padme, who had rallied a small group of loyalist delegates to safety. Anakin's eyes kept darting to Padme, his protective instincts flaring. Obi-Wan noticed, his concern growing. "Anakin, stay focused!" Obi-Wan barked, parrying a droid's attack. "I'm trying!" Anakin snapped, his frustration boiling over. He unleashed a force push, scattering the droids but nearly collapsing a nearby structure. On the balcony, Dooku gained the upper hand, using Force lightning to drive Qui-Gon back. The Jedi Master absorbed the attack with his lightsaber, but the effort strained him. Sensing defeat, Dooku prepared to strike, until Anakin, having scaled the balcony, intervened. His blue blade blocked Dooku's, saving Qui-Gon. "Stay away from him!" Anakin growled, his eyes blazing. Dooku smirked. "Such passion, young Skywalker. The dark side would suit you." Anakin lunged, his strikes wild but powerful. Qui-Gon recovered, joining the fight, but Dooku was too skilled. He force-pushed Anakin off the balcony, sending him crashing into a pile of crates below. Qui-Gon moved to protect him, but Dooku seized the moment, escaping on a waiting speeder. The Jedi and Padme fled Raxus aboard their cruiser, pursued by Separatist fighters. Anakin, bruised but defiant, piloted the ship through a daring escape, weaving through asteroid fields to lose their pursuers. Once safe, they transmitted the stolen schematics to the Jedi Council, along with Qui-Gon's report of Sidious's involvement. In the ship's common area, Qui-Gon tended to Anakin's injuries while Obi-Wan debriefed Padme. The boy's anger was palpable, his fists clenched. "I had him, Master Jinn. I could have ended it." Qui-Gon placed a hand on his shoulder. Your courage saved me, Anakin, but your anger nearly cost you. The dark side feeds on such emotions. You must learn to let go. Anakin's gaze dropped to Padme, who was speaking with Obi-Wan. I just want to keep her safe, he murmured. Qui-Gon followed his gaze, his heart heavy. Love is a powerful force, Anakin, but it can blind you. Trust in the Force, and it will guide you. Padme approached, her expression resolute. The Senate needs to know about this Death Star. If the Separatists build it, no planet will be safe. Obi-Wan nodded. We'll present the evidence to the Council and the Chancellor, but we must prepare for war. Dooku's army is nearly ready. Back on Coruscant, the Jedi Council convened with Chancellor Palpatine, who listened to their report with a grave expression. This is troubling, he said, his voice measured. The Republic must act decisively. I propose the creations of a grand army to counter the Separatist threat. Qui-Gon's unease grew. An army could escalate the conflict, playing into the Sith's hands. Chancellor, we must exhaust diplomatic options first, he urged. War will only deepen the galaxy's wounds. Palpatine smiled thinly. Your wisdom is noted, Master Jinn, but the Senate will demand action. The Council reluctantly agreed to investigate the origins of a mysterious clone army discovered on Kamino, rumored to have been commissioned for the Republic. Qui-Gon volunteered to lead the inquiry, suspecting Sith manipulation. Obi-Wan and Anakin were tasked with protecting Padme, whose outspoken opposition to the Separatists made her a target. As the meeting adjourned, Palpatine watched Qui-Gon leave, his kindly facade masking a sinister intent. The Jedi are tenacious, he muttered to an aide, but their trust in the Force blinds them. Soon they will serve my purpose. That night in the temple's meditation chambers, Anakin sat alone, his mind a storm of emotions. Padme's smile, Dooku's taunts, and Qui-Gon's warnings swirled together. He felt the Force's power within him, but also its darkness, whispering promises of strength. A vision flashed, Padme in danger, her life slipping away. Anakin's eyes snapped open, his breath ragged. Obi-Wan found him, sensing his distress. Anakin, what troubles you? I saw something, Anakin admitted. Padme hurt. I can't lose her, Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's expression softened. The future is not set, Anakin. Qui-Gon taught me that. Trust in your training and let go of fear. Anakin nodded, but the vision lingered, a seed of doubt planted deep. Qui-Gon stood on the temple's balcony, the lights of Coruscant stretching endlessly below. The Force hummed with warnings of war, betrayal, and a darkness that threatened to consume all. His survival had delayed the Sith's plans, but Sidious adapted, his schemes unfolding with ruthless precision. Anakin's destiny loomed large, his potential a beacon of hope or harbinger of ruin. As dawn broke, Qui-Gon resolved to uncover the truth behind the clone army and Sidious's identity. The galaxy's fate hung in the balance, and the Jedi would need every ounce of wisdom to navigate the storm ahead. The galaxy spiraled closer to war. The Separatist movement, under Count Dooku's charismatic leadership, had fractured the Republic's unity, with dozens of systems seceding to join his cause. On Coruscant, the Jedi Temple stood as a flickering light against the encroaching darkness, its council grappling with revelations of a Sith-driven conspiracy. Qui-Gon Jinn's survival on Naboo 6 years ago had altered the Sith's plans, but Darth Sidious, the unseen puppet master, continued to weave his intricate schemes. The discovery of a mysterious clone army on Kamino and the Separatists' Death Star and his schematics heightened the stakes, forcing the Jedi to act swiftly. Qui-Gon, now a guiding force on the Jedi Council, felt the Force's turbulence more acutely than ever. His encounter with Dooku on Raxus had confirmed his former master's allegiance to the Sith, but the true threat, Sidious, remained elusive. Meanwhile, Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi's 17-year-old apprentice, wrestled with his destiny as the Chosen One. His growing attachment to Senator Padme Amidala and haunting visions of her peril fueled his inner conflict, testing his Jedi training. The Jedi Council chamber hummed with tension. Holograms of the Kamino system flickered above the central table, displaying a stormy ocean world shrouded in mystery. Qui-Gon stood before the council, his tall frame steady despite the weight of their task. The Raxus mission had yielded critical intelligence, a separatist superweapon and a Sith Lord orchestrating the galaxy's descent into chaos. Now, reports of a clone army, allegedly commissioned for the Republic by an unknown benefactor, demanded answers. "This army on Kamino raises troubling questions," Qui-Gon said, his voice calm but firm. "Its creation predates the Separatist crisis, suggesting foresight or manipulation. We must uncover who ordered it and why." Mace Windu's brow furrowed. The timing is too convenient. If the Sith are behind the Separatists, they could also be behind this army, pitting both sides against each other. Yoda's ears twitched, his gaze distant. "A web the Sith weave. Tangled the truth is. To Kamino, go you must, Master Jinn." Qui-Gon was assigned to lead the investigation, with Obi-Wan and Anakin accompanying him. Padme, under Jedi protection after assassination attempts linked to her anti-separatist stance, would remain on Coruscant with a security detail led by Master Kit Fisto. Anakin's reluctance to leave her was evident, his blue eyes lingering on her during the briefing. Qui-Gon noted the boy's turmoil, sensing the dark side's whispers circling him. Before departing, Qui-Gon met Anakin in the temple's meditation gardens. The boy sat cross-legged, his expression troubled. "Anakin," Qui-Gon said, settling beside him, "the Force speaks to you, but so does your fear. What troubles you?" Anakin hesitated, then admitted, "I keep seeing Padme in danger, dying. I can't shake it, Master Jinn. What if I'm not strong enough to save her?" Qui-Gon placed a hand on his shoulder. "Visions are shadows of what may be, not what will be. Your fear for her is a chain. Release it, and trust in the Force." Anakin nodded, but his jaw clenched, unconvinced. Qui-Gon knew the boy's heart was a crucible, and the Sith would seek to forge it into a weapon. The Jedi's sleek cruiser emerged from hyperspace above Kamino, its endless oceans lashed by torrential rains. Lightning illuminated towering stilt cities rising from the waves, their sleek architecture a testament to Kaminoan engineering. Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Anakin were greeted by Taun We, a graceful Kaminoan with pale skin and elongated features. "Welcome, Master Jedi," Taun We said, her voice melodic. "We are honored to assist the Republic." She led them through Tapoka City's pristine corridors, explaining the clone army's creation. The order was placed nearly a decade ago by a Jedi master named Sidious. He foresaw a great conflict and commissioned an army to protect the Republic. Qui-Gon's eyes narrowed. Sidious, a friend and former council member, had vanished years ago, presumed dead. "Sidious acted without council approval," he said. "Who funded this project?" Taun We's expression remained neutral. "The financial details were handled by a third party. We were instructed to deliver the army when ready." Obi-Wan exchanged a glance with Qui-Gon. "And the template for the clones? Who provided it?" "A bounty hunter named Jango Fett," Taun We replied. "He resides here as our guest." The Jedi were shown the cloning facilities, where thousands of identical soldiers trained in vast chambers. The clones, grown from Jango Fett's genetic material, were disciplined and efficient, their armor gleaming under the sterile lights. Anakin watched them with fascination, but Qui-Gon sensed a sterile coldness in the operation, as if the Force itself recoiled from this manufactured army. They met Jango Fett in a private quarters, his Mandalorian armor a stark contrast to the Kaminoan's elegance. His son Boba, a young boy with his father's sharp eyes, lingered nearby. Jango was guarded, his responses curt. "I was hired for a job," he said. "Provide the template, train the clones. I don't ask questions." Qui-Gon's senses sharpened. "Who hired you, Fett? Sidious or someone else?" Jango's helmet tilted slightly. "A man named Tyrannus. That's all you need to know." The name struck Qui-Gon like a blow. Tyrannus, Dooku's Sith title, revealed during the Raxus mission. The pieces fell into place. The Sith had orchestrated the clone army, likely to manipulate the Republic into war. Before Qui-Gon could press further, Jango's hand twitched toward his blaster. The Jedi ignited their lightsabers as Jango fired, the bolt deflected by Obi-Wan's blade. "Boba, go!" Jango shouted, tossing a smoke grenade. The room filled with haze, and the bounty hunter fled with his son. The Jedi pursued, their blades cutting through droids deployed as a rear guard. The chase spilled onto a rain-slicked landing platform, where Jango and Boba boarded their ship, Slave One. Anakin, fueled by adrenaline, leaped onto the platform, his lightsaber slashing at Slave One's hull. "Anakin, stop!" Obi-Wan shouted, but the boy's aggression blinded him. Jango fired a missile, forcing Anakin to dive for cover. The ship rocketed into the storm, vanishing into Kamino's clouds. Qui-Gon pulled Anakin to his feet. "Your recklessness nearly cost us," he said sternly. "Control your emotions, or they will control you." Anakin's face flushed, but he nodded. "I'm sorry, Master Jinn." Obi-Wan wiped rain from his brow. "Fett's escape confirms the Sith's involvement. Tyrannus Dooku ordered this army. But why?" Qui-Gon's gaze was distant. "To trap the Republic in a war it cannot win without losing its soul." While the Jedi investigated Kamino, Coruscant faced its own crisis. Padme, under Kit Fisto's protection, continued her work in the Senate, advocating against the Military Creation Act. Her speeches drew ire from separatist sympathizers and corrupt senators alike. Unknown to her, a new assassin, Ventress, a Dathomirian disciple of Dooku, had been dispatched to eliminate her. In the Senate district, Ventress struck during a late-night session. Her twin red lightsabers carved through Padme's security detail, her pale, tattooed face a mask of menace. Kit Fisto engaged her, his green blade a blur, but Ventress's ferocity was unmatched. She force-pushed Kit into a pillar, stunning him, and advanced on Padme. Padme, trained in self-defense, fired a blaster, but Ventress deflected the shots with ease. Just as the assassin raised her blades, a Republic gunship arrived, carrying Jedi reinforcements led by Master Plo Koon. Ventress snarled, hurling a thermal detonator to cover her escape. The explosion rocked the plaza, but Padme was unharmed, shielded by Plo Koon's quick intervention. The attack sent shockwaves through the Senate. Chancellor Palpatine, ever the opportunist, used the incident to push for the Military Creation Act, arguing that the Republic needed an army to protect its leaders. Padme, shaken but resolute, vowed to uncover who was targeting her, suspecting separatist or Sith orchestration. The Jedi returned to Coruscant with the Kamino findings. The clone army was real, advanced and tied to Dooku's Sith alias, Tyrannus. In the council chamber, Qui-Gon presented their report, his voice heavy. "The Sith have engineered this crisis. The Separatists built a droid army, while the Republic is handed a clone army, both controlled by the same hand." Mace Windu's expression was grim. "If we use this army, we play into the Sith's trap. If we don't, the Separatists will overrun us." Yoda's eyes closed, his voice a whisper. "A choice we face. Dark. Both paths are." Anakin, present as Obi-Wan's apprentice, spoke up, his tone defiant. "We can't just sit here. The Separatists are attacking people like Padme. We need to fight." Qui-Gon's gaze met Anakin's. "Fighting may be inevitable, Anakin, but we must fight for the right reasons. The Sith want war to consume us. We must seek another way." After the meeting, Anakin sought out Padme in her senatorial apartment, defying Obi-Wan's orders to remain at the temple. The news of her attack had shaken him, and his visions of her death gnawed at his resolve. "I should have been here," he told her, his voice raw. "I could have protected you." Padme touched his arm, her eyes warm but firm. "Anakin, you can't be everywhere. I'm fighting for the Republic, just as you are. We both have our duties." Their moment was interrupted by Obi-Wan, who had tracked Anakin. "You're needed at the temple," he said sternly. "Your place is with the Jedi, not here." Anakin's frustration flared, but he left with Obi-Wan, the tension between them palpable. Padme watched them go, her heart torn between duty and the bond she felt with Anakin. Qui-Gon, meditating in his quarters, sought clarity in the Force. The Kamino puzzle pointed to a deeper conspiracy, and he suspected Coruscant held the key. A memory surfaced from the Araxis mission. Sidious's hologram mentioning a third party funding the Separatists. Qui-Gon resolved to investigate the Republic's financial networks, suspecting Sith influence within the Senate itself. He enlisted the aid of Senator Bail Organa, a trusted ally of Padme's, to access restricted banking clan records. Their search uncovered irregularities, massive funds funneled through shell corporations, linked to both the clone army and Separatist foundries. The trail led to a name, Higo Damask, a long-dead moon financier rumored to have ties to the Sith. "Bail, this Damask connection is no coincidence," Qui-Gon said, studying the data. "The Sith have been planning this for decades, hiding in plain sight." Organa's face was grave. "If the Sith have infiltrated the Senate, no one is safe. We need to take this to the Chancellor." Qui-Gon hesitated. Palpatine's push for an army troubled him, though he had no evidence of wrongdoing. "We must be discreet," he warned. "The enemy is closer than we think." That night, Anakin slipped away from the temple, driven by another visions of Padme's death. In a darkened alley, he encountered a cloaked figure, Ventress, sent by Dooku to exploit his vulnerabilities. "You're powerful, Skywalker," she purred, her yellow eyes gleaming. "But the Jedi chain you. Join us, and you'll have the strength to save those you love." Anakin's hand hovered over his lightsaber, his heart pounding. "I'd never join you," he spat. But Ventress's words echoed his fears. She vanished into the shadows, leaving him shaken. Returning to the temple, Anakin confessed the encounter to Qui-Gon, expecting rebuke. Instead, Qui-Gon listened patiently. "The dark side tempts us all, Anakin," he said. "Your honesty is your strength. Stay true to the light, and you will find your path." In a hidden chamber beneath Coruscant's industrial district, Darth Sidious met with Dooku via hologram. "The Jedi grow closer to the truth," Sidious hissed. "Qui-Gon Jinn is a thorn we cannot ignore. Accelerate the war. Let the Republic and Separatists tear each other apart." Dooku bowed. "And Skywalker? His power is unmatched." Sidious's lips curled. "He is the key. Nurture his fear, and he will be ours." Qui-Gon stood on the temple's highest spire, the city's lights a sea of deception below. The Kamino clones, the Separatist droids, the Senate's corruption, all were threads in Sidious's tapestry. Anakin's destiny loomed, his potential a beacon or a storm. Qui-Gon vowed to guide him, to uncover the Sith's identity, and to prevent the galaxy's fall. But the Force whispered of a breaking point. War was no longer a possibility. It was imminent. The galaxy stood on the precipice of collapse. The Separatist movement, led by the Sith-aligned Count Dooku, had swelled into a formidable confederacy, with entire sectors seceding from the Republic. On Coruscant, the Jedi Temple's ancient walls seemed to pulse with the tension of an impending storm. Qui-Gon Jinn's survival on Naboo 7 years prior had disrupted the Sith's carefully laid plans, but Darth Sidious, the shadowy orchestrator, adapted with chilling precision. The discovery of a clone army on Kamino, secretly commissioned by the Sith, and the Separatists' listed Death Star schematics, revealed a galaxy ensnared in a trap of war. Qui-Gon, a pillar of wisdom on the Jedi Council, sensed the dark side's tightening grip. His investigations into the clone army and financial ties to the late Higo Damask pointed to Sith influence within the Republic itself. Meanwhile, Anakin Skywalker, now 18, and Obi-Wan Kenobi's apprentice, teetered on the edge of his destiny as the Chosen One. His love for Senator Padme Amidala and recurring visions of her death fueled his fear, drawing the attention of the Sith. As the Republic debated the Military Creation Act, the Jedi faced a moral dilemma: embrace the clone army and risk playing into the Sith's hands, or reject it and leave the galaxy defenseless. The Senate chamber on Coruscant was a cauldron of discord. Holograms of thousands of senators flickered in the vast rotunda, their voices clashing over the Military Creation Act. Chancellor Palpatine, his kindly demeanor masking a sinister agenda, presided over the session, urging unity. Padme Amidala, a fierce opponent of militarization, stood at her podium, her words cutting through the chaos. "The Republic was founded on peace, not war," she declared. "An army may protect us today, but it will bind us to conflict tomorrow. We must seek diplomacy, not bloodshed." Her speech drew cheers from loyalist senators like Bail Organa, but jeers from those swayed by separatist rhetoric or personal gain. Qui-Gon, observing from the Jedi's private balcony, admired Padme's resolve but sensed danger. The Force rippled with malice, and his eyes scanned the chamber for threats. Below, Anakin stood guard with Obi-Wan, assigned to protect Padme after the recent assassination attempt by a such Ventress. His gaze rarely left her, his emotions a tangle of devotion and dread. Obi-Wan noticed, his expression stern. "Anakin, your duty is to the mission, not your feelings." "I'm focused, Master," Anakin replied, his tone sharp. "I won't let anything happen to her." Qui-Gon joined them, his presence calming. "Anakin, your heart is your strength, but it can also be your weakness. Trust in the Force, not fear." Before Anakin could respond, a disturbance erupted. A separatist-aligned senator from Ryloth hurled accusations of Republic tyranny, inciting a near riot. As security droids moved to restore order, Qui-Gon's senses flared, a cloaked figure in the upper tiers, radiating dark intent. He signaled Obi-Wan, and the two Jedi pursued, leaving Anakin with Padme. The figure was Ventress, her yellow eyes glinting beneath her hood. She unleashed a barrage of force lightning, forcing Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan to deflect with their lightsabers. "The Jedi are fools!" she hissed, her twin red blades igniting. "You chase shadows while the galaxy burns." Qui-Gon parried her strikes, his green blade steady. "Your master Dooku is the Shadow, Ventress, and behind him, a greater darkness." Ventress sneered, but her confidence faltered against the Jedi's coordinated assault. She hurled a smoke bomb and vanished into the Senate's labyrinthine corridors. Qui-Gon cursed under his breath. The assassin's escape meant Padme remained a target. Back at the Jedi Temple, the Council convened to address the Camino findings and the Senate's turmoil. Qui-Gon presented his suspicions about the clone army's origins, linking it to Dooku's Sith alias Tyrannus and the mysterious Higo Damask. "The Sith have engineered this crisis," he said. "The clones and the separatist droids are two sides of the same trap, designed to plunge the galaxy into war." Mace Windu's face was grim. "If we deploy the clones, we risk legitimizing a Sith creation. If we don't, the separatists will overwhelm the Republic's defenses." Yoda's eyes closed, his voice heavy. "A choice we have not. War, the Sith desire. Avoid it. We cannot." The Council learned of a separatist offensive planned on the mid-rim planet of Christophsis, a key trade hub. Intelligence suggested Dooku himself would oversee the attack, aiming to cripple Republic supply lines. With the Senate on the verge of approving the clone army, the Jedi had no choice but to act. Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Anakin were dispatched to Christophsis to repel the invasion, with a provisional clone battalion placed under their command. Anakin, eager for action, saw the mission as a chance to prove himself. "We'll crush Dooku's droids," he said, his eyes alight. "No one will threaten the Republic or Padme while I'm around." Obi-Wan sighed. "This isn't about heroics, Anakin. It's about protecting lives." Qui-Gon placed a hand on Anakin's shoulder. "War tests us all, Anakin. Lead with compassion, not anger." As they prepared to depart, Qui-Gon met privately with Padme, who was under increased Jedi protection. "Your voice in the Senate is vital," he told her, "but your safety is paramount. The Sith want you silenced." Padme's gaze was resolute. "I won't hide, Master Jinn. The Republic needs leaders who stand for peace now more than ever." Qui-Gon nodded, sensing her strength and the danger she faced. "May the Force be with you, Senator." Christophsis glittered like a jewel, its crystalline towers reflecting the planet's twin suns, but the beauty was marred by war. Separatist droid armies led by General Loathsome, a Kirkoidan commander, besieged the capital. The Jedi arrived with their clone battalion, led by Captain Rex, a disciplined soldier with Jango Fett's features, but a distinct sense of duty. Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Anakin established a command center in the city's outskirts, coordinating with local resistance fighters. The clones, clad in white armor, moved with eerie precision, their loyalty unquestionable yet unsettling. Qui-Gon observed them, troubled by their Sith-tainted origins. The battle began with a droid advance, their tanks rumbling across the crystal plains. Anakin led a frontal assault, his blue lightsaber carving through B-1 battle droids with reckless abandon. "Come on, Rex!" he shouted, grinning. "Let's show these clankers who's boss!" Rex, blasters blazing, kept pace. "Yes, sir. But maybe less showing off, more strategy?" Obi-Wan, holding the left flank, deflected blaster bolts with calm precision, his blue blade a steady counterpoint to Anakin's ferocity. Qui-Gon took the high ground, using the Force to topple a droid tank, his green lightsaber flashing as he protected clone troopers. The Jedi's coordination turned the tide, but the droids' numbers were overwhelming. In the command center, Qui-Gon received a transmission from Republic scouts. Dooku had arrived, commanding the Separatist flagship in orbit. "He's here to ensure our defeat," Qui-Gon said. "We must draw him out." Anakin, overhearing, seized the opportunity. "Let me take a squad to the flagship. I'll deal with Dooku myself." Obi-Wan frowned. "Anakin, this isn't a solo mission. We need you here." Qui-Gon sensed Anakin's impulsiveness, but saw potential in his boldness. "Go, Anakin, but take Obi-Wan and Rex. Confront Dooku together, and do not underestimate him." Anakin nodded, his determination masking his inner turmoil. The trio boarded a gunship, weaving through anti-aircraft fire to reach the Separatist flagship. Meanwhile, Qui-Gon led the ground defense, his lightsaber a beacon amid the chaos. The Force guided him, but a vision flashed. Anakin facing Dooku, teetering on the edge of darkness. Qui-Gon's heart sank, but he pressed on, trusting his companions. Aboard the flagship, Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Rex fought through droid patrols, their teamwork seamless despite Anakin's impatience. They reached the bridge where Dooku awaited, his red lightsaber humming. "Skywalker," he said, his voice smooth. "Your power's wasted on the Jedi. Join me, and you'll save those you love." Anakin's grip tightened on his lightsaber. "I'll never join you, Dooku. You're a traitor." The duel erupted, Anakin and Obi-Wan's blades clashing with Dooku's elegant Makashi. Rex provided cover fire, his blasters keeping droid reinforcements at bay. Anakin's strikes were fierce, driven by his fear for Padme and anger at Dooku's taunts. Obi-Wan, sensing his apprentice's imbalance, tried to anchor him. "Anakin, stay calm. We're stronger together." Dooku exploited Anakin's aggression, parrying a wild strike and countering with Force lightning. Anakin blocked it, but the effort staggered him. Obi-Wan moved to protect him, but Dooku Force pushed him into a console, stunning him. Alone, Anakin pressed the attack, his blade a blur of blue fury. "You feel it, don't you?" Dooku said, dodging a strike. "The Jedi hold you back. Embrace your anger, and you'll be unstoppable." Anakin roared, his strikes growing reckless. For a moment, the dark side surged within him, his eyes flashing with rage. But Obi-Wan, recovering, rejoined the fight, his presence grounding Anakin. Together they drove Dooku back, their blades forcing him to retreat. Before they could apprehend him, Dooku activated an escape pod, fleeing the flagship. Anakin slammed his fist against the bulkhead. "He got away again!" Obi-Wan placed a hand on his shoulder. "We weakened his position, Anakin. That's a victory." Rex, checking the bridge's computers, uncovered data on Separatist supply lines. "This could turn the battle, sirs. Let's get it to Master Jinn." On Christophsis, Qui-Gon's leadership held the line, the clones and resistance fighters pushing back the droids. The data from the flagship allowed the Jedi to disrupt Separatist reinforcements, forcing General Loathsome to surrender. The city was saved, but the cost was high. Thousands of clones and civilians lay dead, their sacrifice a grim preview of the war's toll. The Jedi regrouped in the capital, weary but resolute. Anakin's near brush with the dark side weighed on him, his confidence shaken. Qui-Gon approached, sensing his turmoil. "You fought bravely, Anakin, but you felt the dark side's pull. It preys on fear and anger. You must master them." Anakin looked away, his voice low. "I just want to protect the people I care about. Is that so wrong?" Qui-Gon's gaze was gentle but firm. "Intentions are not enough. The Force demands balance. Trust in it, and you will find your way." Obi-Wan, overhearing, added, "You're not alone, Anakin. We're with you." The victory on Christophsis bolstered the Republic's resolve, and the Senate passed the Military Creation Act, authorizing the clone army's deployment. Qui-Gon, though troubled by the decision, accepted its necessity, vowing to uncover the Sith's endgame. Back on Coruscant, Padme faced increasing pressure in the Senate. The war's outbreak emboldened her enemies, and rumors of Sith influence spread. She met secretly with Bail Organa and Qui-Gon, sharing new evidence of financial irregularities tied to the banking clan. "These funds trace back to Damask Holdings," she said. "Whoever's behind this is funding both sides of the war." Qui-Gon's suspicions deepened. "The Sith are playing a long game. We need to find the source of this wealth, and the identity of Darth Sidious." Unbeknownst to them, Palpatine watched from his office, his hologram communicating with Dooku. "The war proceeds as planned," Sidious rasped. "Skywalker's anger grows. Nurture it, Tyrannus, and ensure Qui-Gon Jinn's interference ends." Dooku bowed. "It will be done, my lord." That night Anakin meditated in the temple, seeking clarity. Instead, a vision struck. Padme lifeless on a burning world, her eyes empty. He awoke, gasping, his fear surging. Ventress's words echoed, "Join us, and you'll save those you love." The dark side's temptation lingered, a shadow he couldn't shake. He confided in Padme, stealing away to her apartment. "I can't lose you," he said, his voice breaking. "The vision, they're so real." Padme held his hand, her touch grounding him. "Anakin, we'll face this together, but you can't let fear control you." Their moment was brief, interrupted by a Jedi patrol. Anakin returned to the temple, his heart torn between duty and love. Qui-Gon stood in the temple's war room, holograms of battlefronts flickering around him. The Clone Wars had begun, with Jedi leading clone legions across the galaxy. Christophsis was a fleeting victory, but the Sith's shadow loomed larger. Qui-Gon's investigation into Damask Holdings pointed to a hidden power on Coruscant, possibly within the Senate itself. He resolved to confront this threat, knowing Sidious was closer than ever. Anakin, meanwhile, trained with renewed focus, his lightsaber form sharper but his emotions raw. Obi-Wan watched him closely, sensing the dark side's pull. Qui-Gon, ever the mentor, vowed to guide Anakin, to shield him from the Sith's designs. As the galaxy burned, the Jedi stood as its guardians, but the cost of their vigilance grew. The Force whispered a betrayal, sacrifice, and a destiny that would reshape the stars. The Clone Wars raged across the galaxy, a conflagration that consumed worlds and lives. 8 years after Qui-Gon Jinn's survival on Naboo, the Republic and Separatists clashed in relentless campaigns, their armies, clones, and droids locked in a brutal stalemate. The Jedi, stretched thin as generals, fought to preserve a Republic riddled with corruption. Qui-Gon, a beacon of wisdom on the Jedi Council, had uncovered fragments of a Sith conspiracy. The Clone Army, tied to Count Dooku's Sith, alias Tyrannus, and financial trails leading to the shadowy Qui-Gon Damask, suggested a mastermind orchestrating the war from within Coruscant's heart. Darth Sidious, the elusive Sith Lord, remained a phantom, his identity cloaked even as his influence grew. Anakin Skywalker, now 19, and a Jedi Knight under Obi-Wan Kenobi's mentorship, stood at a crossroads. His prowess in battle was unmatched, earning him the title Hero with No Fear. But his love for Senator Padme Amidala and recurring visions of her deaths fueled his fear and anger. The dark side's whispers, amplified by Ventress's temptations, tested his resolve. The Battle of Christophsis had solidified the Jedi's reliance on the clone army, but Qui-Gon's warnings about its Sith origins haunted the Order. As the war escalated, the Jedi faced a grim truth. Victory might come at the cost of their principles. Felucia's jungles pulsed with vibrant life, its towering fungi and bioluminescent flora a stark contrast to the war tearing it apart. The Separatists, led by General Grievous, had fortified the planet, aiming to control its strategic hyperspace routes. Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Anakin led a Republic assault to liberate Felucia, commanding clone legions alongside Aayla Secura and her troops. The mission was critical. Failure would cede the outer rim to Dooku's forces. Qui-Gon stood on a ridge overlooking the jungle, his green lightsaber at his side. The Force hummed with the planet's vitality, but also with discord, the war's violence clashing with Felucia's natural harmony. "This world suffers," he said to Obi-Wan, who stood beside him. "We must end this quickly, for its sake and ours." Obi-Wan nodded, his beard flecked with jungle mist. "Grievous is a butcher. If we can capture him, it could cripple the Separatists." Anakin, adjusting his clone armor, was eager for battle. "Let's hit them hard and fast. I'm tired of chasing shadows." Qui-Gon's gaze lingered on Anakin. The young knight's confidence masked a growing restlessness, his emotions a turbulent undercurrent. "Patience, Anakin," Qui-Gon said. "The dark side thrives on haste. Let the Force guide us." The assault began at dawn, Republic gunships descending through Felucia's misty canopy. Clones, led by Captain Rex and Commander Bly, engaged droid battalions, their blasters lighting up the jungle. Aayla Secura's blue lightsaber flashed as she cut through Batu's super battle droids, her Twi'lek agility a blur. Obi-Wan and Anakin led a frontal charge, their blades deflecting blaster fire, while Qui-Gon flanked the enemy, targeting their command post. Grievous, his cybernetic form towering, emerged from a fortified bunker, his 4 lightsabers spinning in a deadly dance. "Jedi filth!" he rasped, his cough echoing. "Your order ends here." Anakin charged, his blue blade clashing with Grievous's stolen sabers. "You're no match for me, droid," he taunted, his strikes fueled by bravado. Obi-Wan joined him, their teamwork precise but strained by Anakin's aggression. Qui-Gon, sensing Grievous's strategy, used the Force to topple a fungal spire, cutting off the general's retreat. The battle raged for hours, the jungle scarred by explosions and fallen warriors. Aayla's forces secured a key outpost, but Grievous proved elusive, retreating into the undergrowth. Anakin, frustrated, pursued alone, ignoring Obi-Wan's calls. Qui-Gon followed, his senses alert to a trap. In a clearing, Grievous ambushed Anakin, his lightsabers pinning the young knight against a massive root. Anakin fought back, but Grievous's strength overwhelmed him. Before the general could strike, Qui-Gon intervened, his green blade blocking the attack. "Your fight is with me," Qui-Gon said, his voice steady. The duel was fierce, Qui-Gon's Ataru form countering Grievous's mechanical precision. Anakin recovered, joining the fray, but his anger flared, his strikes wild. "Anakin, focus!" Qui-Gon shouted, parrying a blow meant for the young knight. Together they drove Grievous back, but the general activated a smoke screen and escaped in a shuttle, leaving his droids to cover his retreat. Anakin slammed his lightsaber into the ground, furious. "He got away again! Why does this keep happening?" Qui-Gon placed a hand on his shoulder. "Victory lies in saving lives, not chasing vengeance. Felucia is free thanks to you." The Republic secured the planet, but the cost was steep. Hundreds of clones and Felucian natives lay dead. Ayla mourned the losses, her connection to the planet's force deep. Qui-Gon, reflecting on the battle, sensed a shift in the war's tide. The Sith were escalating their efforts, and Anakin's brush with anger was a warning of their influence. Back on Coruscant, Padme navigated the Senate's treacherous waters. The war had deepened divisions, with loyalists clashing against those pushing for appeasement or profit. Her investigation into the banking clan's ties to Damask Holdings, aided by Bail Organa, uncovered a web of shell companies funneling credits to both the Republic and Separatists. "Someone is playing both sides," she told Bail, her voice resolute. "We need to expose them." Bail's expression was grim. "If this reaches the Chancellor, it could destabilize the government. We must be certain." Padme agreed, but felt the weight of her discoveries. Her safety remained a concern, with Jedi Master Kit Fisto overseeing her protection. Unbeknownst to her, Ventress under Dooku's orders plotted another strike, aiming to silence the Senator and draw Anakin deeper into darkness. In the Jedi Temple, Qui-Gon briefed the Council on Felucia and his ongoing probe into the Sith's financial network. "The war is a distraction," he said. "Sidious manipulates both sides, using the clones and droids to erode the Republic's soul. Demek's legacy points to a power within Coruscant, possibly the Senate itself." Mace Windu's eyes narrowed. "You suspect the Chancellor?" Qui-Gon hesitated. "I have no proof, only instinct. Palpatine's push for war aligns too neatly with the Sith's goals. We must investigate discreetly." Yoda's ears drooped, his voice heavy. "Dangerous this path is. Trust in the Force we must, but vigilant we shall be." The Council assigned Qui-Gon to pursue the Damask lead, while Obi-Wan and Anakin were tasked with protecting Padme during a diplomatic mission to Alderaan. Anakin's relief at being near her was palpable, but Obi-Wan's concern grew, sensing his apprentice's emotional turmoil. Alderaan's rolling hills and gleaming spires offered a brief respite from the war's chaos. Padme led a peace summit, hoping to rally neutral systems against the Separatists. Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Anakin accompanied her, their presence both diplomatic and protective. Bail Organa hosted the event, his palace a hub of tense negotiations. Anakin, assigned to Padme's security detail, struggled to focus, his visions of her death intensifying. During a quiet moment, he confided in her on a balcony overlooking the city. "I see you dying," he said, his voice breaking. "I can't stop it, Padme. I'm not strong enough." Padme took his hand, her eyes fierce. "You're stronger than you know, Anakin. We'll face this together, but you can't let fear control you." Their moment was interrupted by an explosion. Ventress had infiltrated the palace, her red lightsabers cutting through guards. Obi-Wan and Anakin engaged her, their blades clashing in the Grand Hall. Ventress taunted Anakin, her words venomous. "Your love makes you weak, Skywalker. The Sith would give you the power to save her." Anakin's anger surged, his strikes growing reckless. Obi-Wan, sensing the danger, intervened, his blue blade blocking Ventress's attack. "Anakin, control yourself!" he shouted. Together they forced Ventress to retreat, but not before she wounded several delegates, sowing chaos. Qui-Gon, who had been meeting with Bails, arrived to find the summit in disarray. Padme, unharmed but shaken, vowed to continue her work. "The Separatists want fear to win," she said. "We can't let them." Anakin, guilt-ridden, apologized to Obi-Wan. "I let her get to me. I'm sorry, Master." Obi-Wan's expression softened. "You're learning, Anakin, but you must master your emotions. The dark side is watching." Qui-Gon, observing, sensed the Sith's strategy, To exploit Anakin's fear and love, he resolved to guide the young knight, knowing his destiny could tip the galaxy's fate. Back on Coruscant, Qui-Gon delved deeper into the Damask Holdings mystery. With Bael's help, he accessed restricted archives, uncovering records of Hago Damask's dealings with the Sith centuries ago. The trail led to a living associate, Mazameda, the Senate's vice-chancellor, whose financial ties to Damask's legacy raised red flags. Qui-Gon confronted Ameda in his office, his presence commanding. "Your connection to Damask Holdings betrays the Republic," he said. "Who do you serve?" Ameda's blue skin paled, but he deflected. "You overstep, Jedi. My affairs are my own." The Force revealed Ameda's fear, confirming his complicity. Qui-Gon left, knowing he was close to unmasking Sidious. He shared his findings with Yoda and Mace, urging caution. "Ameda is a pawn," he said. "The true Sith Lord is higher, possibly Palpatine himself." Mace's jaw tightened. "Accusing the Chancellor without evidence is treason. We need proof." Yoda nodded, and watchful we shall be. The Force, our guide. Anakin, haunted by Ventress's words, sought solitude in the temple's training halls. His lightsaber forms were flawless but aggressive, his anger a palpable aura. A new vision struck, Padme, consumed by flames, her screams echoing. He collapsed, gasping, as a cloaked figure appeared in his mind, offering power to change fate. Ventress, lurking in Coruscant's Undercity, sensed Anakin's turmoil. She reported to Dooku via hologram. "Skywalker is breaking," she said. "His fear for the Senator will be his undoing." Dooku's eyes gleamed. "Push him further. The Master demands his fall." In the temple, Anakin confessed his visions to Qui-Gon, his voice raw. "I can't lose her, Master Jinn. What if the dark side is the only way to save her?" Qui-Gon knelt, his gaze steady. "The dark side offers lies, Anakin. It promises power but delivers chains. Your love for Padme is your strength, but you must let go of fear. Trust in the Force, and you will find peace." Anakin nodded, but doubt lingered, the Sith's whispers growing louder. In a hidden chamber, Darth Sidious met with Dooku, his hologram radiating menace. "The war serves its purpose," he rasped. "The Jedi are distracted, and Skywalker's heart wavers. Qui-Gon Jinn, however, is a threat. Eliminate him, Tyrannus, and ensure the boy's fall." Dooku bowed. "It will be done, my lord." Sidious turned to Mazameda, present in the shadows. "Your role is secure, but the Jedi grow close. Divert their suspicions." Ameda nodded, his loyalty absolute. The Chancellor remains untouchable. Qui-Gon stood in the temple's war room, holograms of battlefronts flickering. The Clone Wars had reshaped the galaxy, and the Sith's plan was nearing fruition. His investigation into Ameda and Damask pointed to Palpatine, but without proof, he could only watch and wait. Anakin's struggle intensified, his destiny a fulcrum between light and dark. On Felucia, Alderaan, and Coruscant, the Jedi fought not just for victory, but for the soul of the Republic. Qui-Gon vowed to unmask Sidious, to guide Anakin, and to end the war before it consumed all. But the Force whispered of a final reckoning where choices would forge the galaxy's fate. The Clone Wars had scarred the galaxy, a relentless conflict that bled worlds dry and tested the Jedi's resolve. 9 years after Qui-Gon Jinn's survival on Naboo, the Republic teetered on the edge of collapse, its Senate mired in corruption and its armies stretched thin. The Separatists, led by Count Dooku, pressed their advantage, while Darth Sidious, the Sith Lord orchestrating the war, remained a shadow pulling every string. Qui-Gon's investigations had exposed a chilling truth. The clone army, tied to Dooku's Sith, alias Tyrannus, and financial trails to Hago Damask pointed to a conspiracy within Coruscant's highest echelons. His suspicions now centered on Chancellor Palpatine, though proof eluded him. Anakin Skywalker, 20 and a Jedi Knight, was a hero of the war, his skill unmatched but his heart torn. His secret marriage to Padme Amidala, forged in defiance of Jedi tenets, deepened his fear of losing her, fueled by visions of her death. The dark side's temptations, stoked by Ventress and Dooku, gnawed at him, threatening to sway the Chosen One. The Jedi, led by Qui-Gon's wisdom, stood as the galaxy's last hope, but the Sith's endgame loomed, a trap to destroy the Order and claim Anakin's soul. Coruscant's skies burned. Separatist fleets, led by General Grievous, launched a daring assault on the capital, their droid ships swarming the planet's orbital defenses. The attack was a diversion, designed to draw Jedi away while Dooku executed a bolder plan, kidnapping Chancellor Palpatine to destabilize the Republic. Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Anakin led the Jedi's response, commanding clone fleets from the Temple's war room. Qui-Gon stood before a hologram of the battle, his green eyes sharp. "This is no ordinary assault," he said. "The Sith are behind it. Dooku seeks more than victory. He wants chaos." Obi-Wan, his beard flecked with gray from war's toll, nodded. "Grievous is a distraction. If Dooku's after the Chancellor, we need to protect him." Anakin, clad in dark Jedi armor, was restless. "Let me lead the strike team. I'll get to Palpatine before Dooku does." Qui-Gon sensed Anakin's urgency, tinged with fear for Padme, who was in the Senate during the attack. "Stay focused, Anakin," he cautioned. "The Force will guide us, but only if you master your emotions." The Jedi launched into action, their fighters weaving through laser fire to reach Grievous's flagship, where Palpatine was held. Anakin piloted with reckless skill, his R2-D2 unit beeping frantically. Obi-Wan and a nearby fighter kept pace, his calm a counterpoint to Anakin's intensity. Qui-Gon, leading a second wave, coordinated with clone commanders Rex and Cody, their loyalty unwavering despite the army's Sith-tainted origins. Aboard the flagship, the Jedi fought through droid battalions, their lightsabers green, blue, and blue, carving paths to the bridge. Grievous confronted them, his 4 stolen sabers spinning. "Your order is finished, Jedi!" he rasped, lunging at Anakin. Anakin parried, his blade a blur. "You're the one who's finished, droid!" Obi-Wan flanked the general, their teamwork honed by years of war. Qui-Gon targeted Grievous's cybernetic joints, his strikes precise. The general, outnumbered, fled to an escape pod, but not before Anakin severed one of his arms. A small victory. They found Palpatine in a holding cell, his kindly facade unshaken. "Thank you, my friends," he said, his voice warm. "I knew the Jedi would come." Qui-Gon's senses prickled. Palpatine's calm felt rehearsed, his aura clouded. "We must get you to safety, Chancellor," he said, masking his suspicion. As they escorted Palpatine to a shuttle, Dooku appeared, his red lightsaber igniting. "Qui-Gon," he said, his voice heavy with regret. "You are my greatest student, yet you cling to a dying order." Qui-Gon stepped forward, his blade humming. "You've betrayed everything you taught me, Dooku. This ends now." The duel erupted, Qui-Gon's Ataru clashing with Dooku's Makashi. Obi-Wan and Anakin engaged droid reinforcements, protecting Palpatine. Anakin's strikes were fierce, his anger flaring as he glimpsed Padme's Senate building under fire in the distance. "We have to end this!" he shouted, slicing through a super battle droid. Dooku, sensing Anakin's turmoil, taunted him. "Your fear for her consumes you, Skywalker. The Sith can save her." Anakin's eyes flashed, but Qui-Gon's voice cut through. "Anakin, stay true!" The young knight hesitated, grounding himself. Qui-Gon pressed Dooku, their blades sparking. In a critical moment, he disarmed his former master, his green blade at Dooku's throat. "Surrender, Dooku. There's still a path back." Dooku's eyes flickered with doubt, but Palpatine's voice rang out. "Kill him, Master Jinn. He's too dangerous." Qui-Gon hesitated, the Force urging mercy. Before he could decide, Anakin, driven by rage, struck Dooku down, his blue blade ending the Count's life. The act stunned Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, the dark side's echo reverberating. "Anakin, what have you done?" Obi-Wan said, his voice low. Anakin's face was defiant. "He deserved it. He would have killed us." Palpatine smiled faintly, unnoticed by the Jedi. "Well done, young Skywalker. You've saved the Republic." Qui-Gon's heart sank. Anakin's act, though tactical, was a step toward darkness. As they escorted Palpatine to safety, the Separatist fleet retreated, Coruscant's defenses holding. But the victory felt hollow, the Sith's shadow, deeper than ever. Back at the Jedi Temple, Qui-Gon reported to the Council, his voice heavy. "Dooku's death weakens the Separatists, but Anakin's actions trouble me. The dark side preys on him, and I fear the Chancellor's influence." Mace Windu's brow furrowed. "You still suspect Palpatine?" Qui-Gon nodded. "His survival was too convenient. His urging for Dooku's death too deliberate. My investigation into Damask Holdings points to him. Masameda's complicity confirms a Sith presence in the Senate." Yoda's eyes closed, his voice grave. grave this accusation is proof we need before acting. Qui-Gon had uncovered a final clue, a hidden vault in Coruscant's industrial district linked to Damascus' legacy. He resolved to investigate, taking Obi-Wan and Anakin to confront the truth. Padme, shaken by the attack but resolute, insisted on joining, her diplomatic skills vital to exposing Senate corruption. Despite Anakin's protests, Qui-Gon agreed, sensing her role in the Force's plan. The vault, buried beneath a derelict factory, was guarded by Sith droids, their red optics glowing. The Jedi dispatched them, their blades a symphony of light. Inside, they found holocrons and records detailing the Sith's centuries-long plan, the clone army, the separatist uprising, and a plot to anoint a new Sith apprentice, Anakin. The records named Sidious as Palpatine, his kindly mask a lie. Qui-Gon's blood ran cold. The Chancellor is the Sith Lord. He's orchestrated everything. Padme's face paled. If this is true, the Senate is compromised. We need to act now. Anakin, reeling, clutched his lightsaber. Palpatine! He's been my friend. This can't be right. Obi-Wan placed a hand on his shoulder. We trust the Force, Anakin. The evidence is clear. Before they could plan, Ventress emerged from the shadows, her red sabers ignited. You're too late, she hissed. The Master's plan is complete. The Jedi engaged, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan countering Ventress's ferocity while Anakin protected Padme. Ventress targeted Anakin, her taunts venomous. Your wife will die, Skywalker. Only the Sith can save her. Anakin's rage erupted, his blade nearly striking Ventress down. Qui-Gon intervened, disarming her with a force push. Flee, Ventress, or face justice, he said. She snarled, escaping into the Undercity, but her words lingered in Anakin's mind. The Jedi and Padme returned to the temple, presenting the evidence to the council. Mace, Yoda, and the others agreed Palpatine must be arrested. Qui-Gon led a strike team, Mace, Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Kit Fisto, to the Chancellor's office, while Padme and Bail Organa rallied loyal senators to expose the truth. In the Senate tower, Palpatine awaited, his calm unshaken. Master Jinn, he said, his voice smooth, I expected you sooner. Qui-Gon ignited his lightsaber. Your reign ends, Sidious. Surrender or face the consequences. Palpatine's smile twisted, his eyes gleaming yellow. You underestimate my power. He unleashed Force lightning, the blue arcs forcing the Jedi back. His red lightsaber sprang from his sleeve, and the duel began. Sidious was a whirlwind, his dark side mastery overwhelming. Mace's purple blade clashed with his, while Qui-Gon's green countered his lightning. Obi-Wan and Kit protected Anakin, who hesitated, torn by Palpatine's past kindness. Anakin, join me, Sidious hissed. I can save Padme. Anakin's visions flashed, Padme dying, her screams echoing. His saber wavered, but Qui-Gon's voice broke through. Anakin, you are the chosen one. Choose the light. Sidious struck, killing Kit and wounding Mace. Anakin, galvanized, joined the fight, his blue blade blocking Sidious's attack. Together, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Anakin overwhelmed the Sith Lord, their unity a beacon in the Force. Qui-Gon disarmed Sidious, his green blade at his throat. It's over, he said. Sidious laughed, a chilling sound. The dark side is eternal. You've only delayed the inevitable. Mace, recovering, arrested Sidious, his fate to be decided by the Senate. The Jedi, battered but victorious, stood together, the Sith's mask shattered. Palpatine's arrest sent shockwaves through Coruscant. Padme and Bail exposed his crimes, rallying the Senate to reform. The Clone Wars ended as separatist leaders, bereft of Sith guidance, surrendered. The clone army was decommissioned, its Sith origins a cautionary tale. Mazameta, exposed as a collaborator, faced justice, and the Jedi began rebuilding, their order shaken but enduring. Anakin, shaken by his near fall, confessed his marriage to Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. I love her, he said. I couldn't let her go. Qui-Gon, ever compassionate, embraced him. Your love saved you, Anakin, but you must balance it with duty. The Force has chosen you for great things. Obi-Wan, though conflicted, supported his friend. We'll face the future together. Padme, pregnant with hope for peace, stood by Anakin, their bond a symbol of renewal. Qui-Gon, reflecting on the war, knew the dark side would rise again, but his survival had forged a new path. The Jedi, guided by his wisdom, vowed to protect the galaxy, their light undimmed. As Coruscant's suns rose, Qui-Gon stood on the temple's spire, the Force clear and vibrant. Anakin, the Chosen One, had fulfilled his destiny, not as a destroyer, but as a savior. The galaxy, scarred but hopeful, faced a new dawn, its fate no longer shadowed by fate,